A few days ago, I saw the JRPG subreddit list Trails as the best ongoing series. This is in addition to the recent remake Trails in the Sky First Chapter getting Best Remake. It genuinely says a lot about how the franchise has evolved over the past 20 years, along with gaming support in the West, or at least with the hardcore fans of the genre. And the praise really isn't a surprise. Along with a deep narrative, later titles build off this massive world. Naturally, expectations for the latest installment, Trails Beyond the Horizon, are rather high. With so many characters to explore, coupled with an ambitious narrative, is it a must for fans or does it fail to launch? One of the downsides to having such a long and storied franchise is approachability. It's hard to remember every detail, much less play through each and every title. While experiencing those titles will give the best overall experience, a comprehensive overview is included. These range from explaining the timeline to character overviews. There's also an overview of Daybreak, which this is technically a sequel of. For better or worse, they're not the most comprehensive overviews. For example, Daybreak 2 is less than 5 minutes. Though, it's always good to see. I also like that it shied away from revealing too much. Certain parts also offer timely terms, which helps ensure players have a good understanding of what is being discussed.
黒い魔装機の暗躍について調査に乗り出した2人は足取りをつかむも赤黒い魔装機グレンデル・ゾルガの持つ侵食の力を前になすすべもなく果ててしまう。しかしその時駆けつけた
The initial premise is rather familiar. With the prophesized Day of Doom fast approaching, humans look to the potential future beyond the horizon. Despite the strong start, the narrative immediately comes to a screeching halt. The first hour or so handles character introductions and tutorials. It does a lot for world building, it just kind of overstays its welcome. This largely defines the early game as well. All this builds to a climactic showdown where you need to prove yourself, followed by a lavish party, and then you can dive into the important things. Like the case of the dude who's lying about bathhouse cleanliness. Seriously. The first 5 or so hours are mostly running around talking to people, or spent in a cutscene, and this is just doing all the missions. Long term, the story does eventually get going, and concludes in a Trails-esque way. Even if I'd prefer a punchier narrative, I do appreciate how much effort went into this world. Very few games allow players to explore towns or interact with random characters. It helps the world feel alive, especially silly interactions like the chats. Small touches like this make me want to really explore the world. Plus, there is a variety of optional interactions that allow for a more personal experience, or just something new to do on a future run. While I wouldn't say Trails Beyond the Horizon is a complicated game, I also wouldn't describe it as being simple. Most fights start with a rather basic action RPG system. There are a couple attacks, dodge, and a bonus for dodging at the right time. Perfect dodges are also pretty generous. It pretty much happened anytime I dodged when it looked like an enemy was about to attack. Where things start to get complicated are the turn-based mechanics. The ideal way to play is softening enemies in the action mode, and then swapping to turn-based upon stunning them. Doing so will deal some damage, along with making them easier to defeat. Interestingly, when enemies are low health, they can also push players into turn-based mode. If this occurs, you will be punished for your hubris. Where combat really shines are boss battles. Like previous games, players are expected to have an actual tactic, at least for normal and above. Take the Madness Serpent. It can use a move called Ultimate Orochi to gain a couple buffs and regeneration. With this, it can basically heal through my normal attacks, though one of the buffs is speed, so it will actually out-heal me long term. To counteract this, I need to use boosts, buffs, be aware of debuffs, utilize weaknesses, and really make the most of these systems. Even trying to brute force it will only go so far, as certain bosses are actually harder when utilizing this tactic. In addition to normal combat as a wide variety of minigames, these range from okay to bad. Personally, I'd prefer a more focused approach, though some will likely enjoy the actual roleplay aspect. Niche games like this are obviously going to have a smaller budget. I expect to see reused enemies, maybe a location returning, and things of the like. However, there are a couple weird choices that I think stand out. One of them is spoken dialogue. Again, I don't expect every optional quest to have voiceovers, but certain sections approach this in a rather unusual way. Take the party. The required conversations lack it, as do the optional ones. I'd honestly be fine with this. I just don't know why the optional cake path is voiced over. Choices like this create this weird situation where characters will be silent, then talk, followed by being silent again. I'd just like to see some consistency. There are also a couple weird quirks. For example, certain story battles clear into a black screen. Typically, this would have a character doing emotes, whereas solid black just feels wrong. It likely stems from the more dynamic nature of combat, yet there had to be a more elegant solution.
皆様お疲れ様でした。
Overall, Trails Beyond the Horizon maintains the status quo. It slowly builds into an intriguing narrative centered around the people and places fans have come to love. Whether that's appealing or not will vary, but it handles combat fairly well. It just isn't enough to mindlessly attack. Players need to use cunning tactics and utilize various mechanics to beat various threats, all with a multitude of flashy attacks to keep enemies guessing. For these reasons, it's an experience that fans will likely continue to be enamored with, and those who struggle to get into the franchise probably won't change their mind about. Hey, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to leave a like, and for more content, please subscribe.